3, 2. On today's show, is it a failure if Giannis doesn't beat the Pacers and upset them in the playoffs? Do the Pistons have a chance? We'll talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs in today's Locked On NBA Squad Show East.
You are talking ball with the NBA East Squad Show. From the Celtics to the Bucks, the Knicks to the Heat, and everyone else in the East. The local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bring you all the scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive look at the Eastern Conference. Trash talk and big takes included. No holding back, we're giving the green light. It's time to talk NBA East.
And welcome, you're Locked On to NBA Squad Show East. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On NBA podcast. This is the Squad Show where we take over the feed of your favorite Locked On show. It's an open invite for any host to say anything they want about the Eastern Conference playoffs. Today, joining me from, we got it in order. Locked On Cavs, Danny Cunningham. Locked On Celtics, John Karalis. Locked On Knicks, Gavin Schall. Locked On Pacers, Tony East. Locked On Bucks, Camille Davis. And Locked On Pistons. Just welcome Kuka Hill. The Pistons made the top 6 in the playoffs, everybody. From 14 wins to here. Just happy for Kuka Hill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Started at the bottom. Now you're halfway here.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here nonetheless.
We'll talk about Knicks versus Pistons. We'll talk about, is there any interest in any of the play-in teams? They decided not to show up to the squad show today. Maybe will they even show up to the playoffs? We'll talk about those teams. But let's start here. One of the most interesting players going into this playoffs, I think, is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Playing the Pacers again. I don't know, have these teams ever met before, Tony, Camille? Have they have any history between these two teams? But
a little familiar.
Giannis comes in as the best player in the East. Maybe some qualms from some of you, but his team is not favored in this series. Would you guys think it would be a failure if Giannis's team doesn't beat this Pacers team?
As Giannis has said, there are no failures. So
I was going to say, it's funny that we're using the word failure for Giannis specifically.
Right. That's why I had the reaction like, dang, we going straight to failure? You know how he feels about that word.
As the Greek here, I have to represent my guy, Giannis. There are no failures in here.
Can just before we get into this, can I just shout out just real quickly John's shirt? The NWO, I mess with it heavy.
Oh, thanks. You got to wear that WrestleMania week. You got to.
As the Boston guy, I feel like this was the appropriate. Everybody hates me, but I'm still the best one here. So
there you go. If I'll go first with the Giannis thing. No, I think saying it would be a failure for Giannis would be pretty wild. I think for the Bucks it would be. I think you can make the argument the Bucks have failed Giannis. But Giannis failing, I think, is pretty wild to say. I think this is like the third straight year you could argue that Giannis is having the best year of his career. Like, it's been 3 straight years of us saying this. He's still top 3 player in the NBA, in my opinion. He's by far the best player in the Eastern Conference. And the only reason why we're even discussing them potentially having a chance to beat the Pacers is because Giannis is that insane. So to say and if they do lose, it won't be because Giannis. It will be because the rest of their team is not very good. And because Kevin Porter Jr. is probably going to be the second player that they're relying on to kind of pop off for him. Like, compare that across the board. So, failure for Giannis? No, I think failure for the Bucks, probably.
Now, this is the Bucks team that came into the season with championship aspirations. I don't think that anyone could say this season has gone the way that the Bucks would have hoped that it would have gone, especially when you call out to a 2-8 start to the season. But since that 2-8 starts, the Bucks have been like the 5th or the 6th most winningest team in the NBA. Over the last couple of weeks here, what Giannis has been able to do as like playmaker, Giannis putting the ball in his hands without Damian Lillard, I think has unlocked Giannis in a different way. He does like to have the ball in his hands, and that's something that he wasn't doing as much with Dame on the team. But listen, this Pacers team going into it again, not healthy as they were last year. I think having Giannis as that healthy superstar over Dame being that healthy superstar is going to be a big boom for the Bucks. And that's no disrespect to Dame at all. It's just that Giannis is like otherworldly in what he can do. And the Pacers have had a very, very hard time stopping this man over the last, 3-4 years.
No. 10 years. How long has he been in the NBA? Keep going back.
But the question is the game plan going to be to stop Giannis? Because I don't think the game plan should be to stop Giannis. I think Giannis is going to get his 50. Let him get 50. Let him average 50 for the series. What is Wes Goldberg doing here? We're talking about playoff teams here.
We got to move him down in the order. I had everybody in order of seating. So the problem I see in this series is
I don't think the Bucks can stop the Pacers. And I think the Pacers are okay not stopping the Bucks because the Bucks are going to stop themselves, I think, offensively. Pacers are just going to put up 140 points in this series and dare the Bucks to stop them. How do you guard them with Brook Lopez? One of the key parts of that Milwaukee defense is Brook Lopez being there protecting the rim. When you have the ability to pull him out and kind of render him ineffective in a series, I think that's a big problem for the Bucks. So let Giannis do his thing, but I just don't see how the Bucks stop the Pacers. We could see like 140 to 128 as final scores.
I mean, the fact that we're having this conversation even, I think, speaks to the fact that this year is and really the post-championship run that the Bucks have had has just been an organizational failure in Milwaukee. And yeah, not everything is their fault. Like, you can't, blame them for Damian Lillard having what Damian Lillard has right now that's keeping him out. That's not Milwaukee's fault, but they made a bad trade for Damian Lillard. They were a defense first team and they don't operate well as an offense first team. And when we give up Drew Holiday, that's what you become. I mean, they have, I think it's fair to say, at worst, the third best player in the world on the roster. And how many of us here, I don't think they're going to beat the Pacers. How many of us here have any ounce of belief they can win the East? And I think we all think they have the best player in the conference, and no one thinks they could win 12 playoff games. That to me just screams organizational failure. That's not just about this year, but the last few.
I push back on the Damian Lillard trade being a complete failure in that sense, because the reason that they went and made the Dame trade in the first place was the problem for the Bucks come playoff time was that they did not have enough half-court offense to get them through a playoff series. Like, they continued to lean on the defense. They had Drew Holiday in an outsized offensive role. Chris Middleton was consistently in and out of the lineup, so you had a lot on Giannis's shoulders. And when you're trying to make Drew Holiday your second offensive option, in addition to him being your first defensive option, it was too much on his shoulders at one time. And the Bucks looked at their roster and said, hey, we need a little bit more scoring. Now, the problem around that last season was that they didn't build the defense around that scoring because that trade happened so quickly. I do think that this year's Bucks team is a little bit more versatile than last year's team, and they actually do have some more options that they can actually utilize in the series, especially against the Pacers, than they had last year. Last year, Patrick Beverley was the only point of attack hope that the Bucks had on this team. At least this year, you have some options you can throw out there with AJ Green being more consistent, Kevin Porter Jr., who has been playing better, Gary Trent Jr., even throwing Kyle Kuzma on some guys just to bother them with size, switching Giannis. And I do agree with John that this probably is not going to be a Brook Lopez series, but it probably will be a Bobby Portis series. And the Bucks have found something going smaller with Giannis, Bobby Portis, Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., and AJ Green being able to put those shooters around Giannis. It can make things difficult for opposing teams because the Bucks are the best three-point shooting team in the league.
Is anybody going to pick the Pacers or pick the Bucks? Is everyone picking the Pacers?
It's just going to be me. It feels like.
I'm picking the Bucks.
I have slight belief in the Bucks just because of Giannis. He's that good where I have like a little bit of belief in it happening.
What's the path for the Bucks winning, Wes?
Giannis takes over, establishes the terms of engagement. The game is slowed down a little bit. And because he's so efficient, the Pacers have to keep taking the ball out. Bucks could set up their half-court offense. And I agree. I think their smaller lineups could potentially work. And don't forget about playoff Kuzma, man. Like, let's go.
No.
Who? Supposed to be helping me, Wes. You ain't helping my case.
That wasn't helpful.
Kyle Kuzma. Oh, the Puma guy?
You should look at you guys want a good laugh? Go
He's
look
on
at the
Instagram,
on-off
find him.
with Kuzma on the floor for the Bucks. Go look at that. Go look at that on-off.
The last time Kyle Kuzma played a playoff game was what year, everyone?
2020.
2020, right?
2020 has to be.
2021.
That was
That
not
six
great.
game against the Suns. June 2021.
That was a Kuzma classic. I can't believe I forgot.
We haven't heard at all from Tony. Tony, are you scared of the Bucks at all?
Yes. I think they're a tougher matchup for the Pacers this year than last year.
Agreed.
Like, by a decent amount. Even beyond the Giannis part of it. I tweeted this right after the Pacers-Bucks was clinched. Like, duh, Giannis is better. Although Chris Middleton last year was like the scariest thing ever for the Pacers, and he's gone. That dude couldn't miss in that series. Giannis has been great, obviously, but like the fact that there's groups that can score for the Bucks now, credibly, regardless of his capabilities, is what changes the series a lot to me. with, like you said, the shooting element and spacing element, and like what Wes said, if they're taking the ball to the net a lot. The last year the Pacers crushed the Bucks all the time, including in the regular season. This year the Bucks have this zone defense that the Pacers are like, well, we can't solve this at all, and so the Bucks score. They just set up this zone, and it just snowballs into this crazy long Bucks run over and over again. I feel like if they can score a little better than last year, that snowball effect could be tougher for the Pacers. I still think the Pacers should be the favorites, but I think it's a harder series than last year, given the structure of the Bucks team. And a lot of that is because of Giannis and the shooting. Like, this Giannis and bench group's been amazing out of nowhere recently. Like, it's going to be tough for the Pacers to keep up, and they're going to have to find their own creative solutions. And I think the front court part's going to be the interesting part. And I thought the opposite of what you think. I think Brook Lopez is going to be awesome, and Portis, I don't think the Pacers care about as much. It's going to be interesting.
Tony, can you talk to like how high the ceiling is for Indiana? Because I know on your pod you mentioned you think it might be a little lower this year, but that was, I think, before they ripped off 14 out of 17 before they sat everyone. It seems like we've had like a very extended stretch of them playing great basketball. We all know the record against over 500 teams. Like, what's the ceiling with this group?
Yeah, they're not as good as last year offensively, which is going to be fascinating come playoff time, because, like, to Wes's point, he talked about the game slowing down. Like, they're very proud of not slowing down in the playoffs in both of their first two rounds. They were like, no, we didn't do that at all. They didn't do it against the Celtics either, but the Celtics were just too good. It didn't really matter. So in that way, the fact that they aren't last year's level on offense is like what's their bread and butter going to be every night? But they're way better on defense. They were an above average defense this year, which no one thinks of the Pacers as that. So if that holds, like if they're still a good defensive team in the playoffs, yeah, maybe their ceiling's about the same because they've been playing so well of late and like they're good on both ends. But without being elite on either end, I'm just curious how that will make it different. And I think their ceiling's different because there's a second elite team in the East, and last year didn't feel like there was.
Coming up, do the Pistons have a chance against the Knicks? I think a couple of us think that they may. I think that most of us probably think that they don't. We'll talk about that in Locked On NBA Squad Show East. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Squad Show East brought to you by Hungry Root. Spring is here and life is busier than ever. We've got all these playoff games going. You don't want to spend time trying to figure out what you're going to eat, figure out how to put it together, figure out how to go to the grocery store and all that. You want it sent straight to you, and you want to save all that time. Hungry Root is the way to go. It's like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist wrapped into one. They take care of grocery shopping and meal planning, offering personalized recommendations based on your tastes and health goals. You're going to love Hungry Root. You're going to love how they can set up all kinds of different diets, all kinds of different things, high quality, nutritious food you can stick to your gut friendly. I don't know what that means. They're just sending you oatmeal, like really great kinds of that. High protein diet without spending hours planning. The meal comes together in 15 minutes or less. Take advantage of the exclusive deal. Get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use that code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, code LockedOnNBA, all one word, for 40% off and a lifetime item for free. Who is sniffling over there?
I get emotional when Hungry
the
Root
whole
comes up.
time. Just like
I probably had a sniffler too.
get
Allergies
somebody a
haven't been great
tissue
lately.
over there. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Squad Show East. We've got a show that covers your favorite team. We've obviously got 1 through 6 in the East represented today, and 10. Wes Goldberg.
The scariest 10 ever, though, Wes, to your credit, okay? Eric Spoelstra's still there.
Nobody wants to see him.
1 to 10 has Anthony Davis on the other side. I don't know about that team.
Surely with Anthony Davis, they'd be playing
I thought they
really
had
well of late since the trade.
The Knicks and the Pistons. Let's just start. Does anyone think the Pistons have a chance? Let's just do anybody. Oh, Gavin Schall.
A chance, like above zero. Yes.
A real chance. Like if you would go put money down on them.
No.
Well,
The odds are
I
great
wouldn't
enough.
pick them, but they have a chance.
Yeah, they have I need a better framing of this question.
This is gonna
I'm
be
not putting
No, Tony, there's a point that I put the questions that way.
This will be the don't count out the Pistons hipster pick. Like on this is gonna be the upset pick. I'm just telling you, this is gonna be the trendy upset pick. This is what it's gonna be. But I think
For a reason. For
Where-
good reason. For good reason. Because the Pistons have a physical nature that can really bother the Knicks. They do not, I don't think, handle physicality all that well. Jalen Brunson is still not 100%, and that's I think they're going to be the thing. Like, I think one thing the Celtics have shown the blueprint of, and it's not the most original thing. Other people have done it, but attacking Karl Anthony Towns. And you see how how that produces a lot of opportunities. Cade Cunningham is playing his best basketball right now. So this is going to be a slugfest. I think this is a pretty evenly matched series.
Dude, look, who you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the thing that stresses out the Pistons the most is stretch bigs. I've seen Miles Turner kick those guys' butts with shooting a million times in the last couple of years, and Cat is like the thing for that. And he's not even the Knicks' best player. I just feel like the Knicks have so many ways that they'll be able to play their style offensively and score that, yes, I agree that the Pistons are more physical and Cade's really good, and like they're a good team. They impressed me with all these wins without Cade down the stretch, but I just think the Knicks are, one, better, and two, like actually a tough matchup for the Pistons. Who is not
good
about that?
It just comes down to what.
Go ahead, Gavin.
Okay, I was
no, go ahead.
I think, does Q have a chance to speak in the squad show coming up?
No, go ahead, Gavin. My fault. Go ahead.
No, you're good. It comes down to whether or not the Knicks like actually press those buttons you're talking about. Like Karl Anthony Towns, to your point, like could shoot the Knicks into a series win. He's taking less than 5 threes a game this year. He's taking less than, I think, Kamara on the Trailblazers, shooting more threes than Cat is per game this season. I think the Knicks have two pretty obvious avenues they could go to win this series. They could go double big. They could play Mitchell Robinson. Part of the reason the Knicks haven't leaned into that is they haven't been using Mitchell Robinson in back-to-backs. That shouldn't be an issue in the playoffs. And yet we've had 2 minutes this entire season where they've had Brunson, Cat, and Mitchell Robinson on the floor together. I don't think Detroit really is an answer from a rebounding perspective. And as good as they've been defensively over the last 50 games, like the Knicks could kind of go back to their old style and just destroy them on the glass, or they could lean all the way into shooting and take Josh Hart off the floor and put Landry Shamet, who's shooting 48% from 3 over his last 11 games. Give him a little bit more minutes. Give Deuce McBride, who's the one player in their team in their top 6 rosters, and yet it's top 6 lineups on the season, yet they never seem to close games with him. The issue with the Knicks is Tom Thibodeau has an insistence on having Josh Hart on the floor to end games, and that is not where this team is at their best. Their starting lineup has played more minutes than any other group in the NBA, and over the last 33 games, they have a negative net rating. Like, they are decidedly mediocre, while Detroit over the last 50 games has been, as of a few days ago, a top 5 team in net rating in the NBA. Like, Detroit's been better than New York for a substantial part of the season. New York clearly has more talent. They have more experience. They should win. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is going to let them.
So, like, I think majority of people who are coming into the series are thinking like how Wes is, that the Pistons are just a feel-good story, happy for them being here, happy. But that's not the case at all anymore. People need to, like, wake up to what the Pistons are for the last 50 games. We have a 50-game sample size now. Who has more talent on this series? The Knicks. The Knicks have way more talent than the Pistons. And if you're picking the Knicks to beat the Pistons because they have more talent, I get it. But we have a 50-game sample size. Now, this is not 5 games. This is not since the All-Star break. This is not the March basketball where every rookie seems to go crazy. This is 50 games now of the Detroit Pistons being 10th in the NBA in offense. Everyone talks about the Knicks offense being great, and the idea of the Knicks offense is great. But the Knicks offense since January 4th over this 50-game sample is the 16th best offense in the NBA. The Pistons have the 10th best offense. Since that time, over 50 games, the Pistons have the 8th best defense in the NBA. Where do the Knicks rank in all that? The Knicks fall all the way down to 17th. When you look at net rating, the Pistons are the 6th best net rating since January 4th. This is a 50-game sample size. They are ahead of teams like the Pacers, like the Warriors, like the Rockets, like the Lakers, like the Bucks. That's where the Pistons have been for 50 games now. This is not a feel-good story anymore. This is an actual good basketball team that has been playing like a top 10 NBA team for 50 games now. So, yes, the Knicks have more talent than the Pistons. Should they be favored? Yes, because they have that more talent. And if there are concerns for the Pistons, it's because they don't have real secondary creation within the half court. I think that's where the Knicks will really stress them out a lot. I think that's where, if the Knicks win, that's where they will take advantage and make the Pistons struggle, is that they'll probably try to trap Cade a lot, even though the Knicks tried doing that in the third matchup this season against the Knicks, or against the Pistons, and Malik Beasley and THJ shot them out the game. And Malik Beasley just finished the year second in most three-pointers made in this season. He's one of the only 5 players to hit 300 threes in the season. He did that coming off the bench. So this idea that the Pistons are this fun, feel-good story, that's not the case anymore. They've been 50 games now of one of the best teams in the NBA. The Knicks have a ton of talent. If they play up to their idea, yeah, they'll beat the Pistons. but they haven't exactly played to that idea. I think Gavin, we'll probably talk about this week. Gavin, you bring up a great point that, and Tony, you did as well. Stretch bigs are what kill the Pistons 100%. They kill the Pistons. The problem is the Knicks haven't been shooting threes. I think they're like 27th in the NBA in like 3-point attempts. They're like Cat is not shooting threes. And teams have decided to try to put wings on Cat. So I don't think Jalen Duren's going to be guarding Cat. I think it's going to be Tobias. And then they're going to hide Jalen Duren and Josh Hart. So how much can they get away with this stretch? How much are they going to really get these 3-point attempts put up? So look, I think the Pistons have an avenue to win. They won't be favorites, but they're not some feel-good story either.
I would just like to clarify. I think the Pistons can win the series. I was just saying they will be the trendy pick. They will.
Our
be the
resident Pistons hater, Wes Goldberg.
I love the Pistons. I
love once again, everybody agrees with Wes, but hates what he said.
So
Exactly.
am I wrong for trusting neither team in this series? Like, I do think that the Knicks are more talented.
because one
I
of them
don't
has to
trust
win.
them. I don't trust their coach. I really don't trust Karl Anthony Towns in the postseason.
Why not?
And then
Last year
Detroit
happened.
has not been there. Detroit has not been there. I really don't trust Detroit's coach in the postseason either. Like, nothing would surprise me here, but I kind of look at, okay, neither one of these teams has really beaten good teams all year long. Whatever is going to happen, I kind of lean with more talent with New York, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
The Knicks are minus 460 on FanDuel to win this series. The other favorites, Pacers minus 198. In the West, it's Lakers minus 180, Nuggets minus 120. So
That's pretty good value. Maybe I will bet on the Pistons.
The Knicks are the biggest favorite of any of the series that we know right now. All
We
kinds of
can
great
still run
stuff.
right past the shade that Danny Cunningham said. I don't trust the Detroit coach the way he said that.
Oh, he
I
has prior
don't.
experience.
I have seen the
Does he have
Detroit
any
coach
experience?
in a playoff series against the New York coach right now, and it didn't go well for him. I have seen the Detroit coach in 3 playoff series in the last couple of years. None of them went well.
Why are we Voldemorting
mention him
JB
by
Bickerstaff right now?
Yeah.
Not mentioning him.
I think OG Anunoby is going to have a series that makes everybody be like, "Oh wow, that guy's really freaking good." And that's
He's gonna
why
have
He's
to.
been really, really. When Brunson went down,
He's been
he was really, really
amazing
good.
recently.
What college did OG go to, Tony?
Oh, that's a great question, Wes. I wore the wrong hat today. I wasn't expecting this.
Coming up.
He might have been an Indiana University attendee. I might have met him at a Qdoba. Great fella, that.
Wait, can we get to Tony's Qdoba story after the break?
I have a good
Chipotle.
Reggie Bullock at a Chipotle store. if you
Do
want
it
to
now.
see
When did you?
Yes.
How'd you meet OG at a Qdoba? What was his order?
Well, so
better
he
know
actually
this.
got hurt the game before that, and I was like a huge IU basketball fan, obviously. And he was in a boot at Qdoba, and I was like, "Oh my god, OG's in a boot!" And so he had never been to Doba before, so he turned to me and he said, "What's good here?"
What's
And I was
Doba?
so
It's just
starstruck that
Doba.
he was in a boot. I was so starstruck that he was in a boot that I just gave him some like stupid answer. It was about getting a burrito. It was
So you ruined his
embarrassing.
first Qdoba
Get the
experience.
fish.
I ruined his Qdoba experience.
And he hasn't been back to Doba since.
And that dude,
Right,
that
the
dude's voice is so
Dobes, the
deep. I like
Dobes.
imagine OG Anunoby saying "What's good here" in a boot, and I'm like freaking out. It was so embarrassing. Good for him.
Lived up to the hype. Coming up, is there any interest in any of the play-in teams? Only one host from a play-in team is in attendance. Is anyone else interested in these play-in games? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Locked On NBA Squad Show East. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Squad Show East brought to you by Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about it. When's the last time you had a service emergency? The first person didn't answer. Did you wait? Probably not. That's why you need Open Phone. You've got to have all that stuff covered, and you can't cover every single thing yourself. It's just not possible. That's why we have all these hosts that cover all these teams, because we can't cover everything. Same thing with your business. It's the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communication, all through an app on your phone or computer. You got to love that there's the shared inbox. Your team can jump into any conversation without missing a beat, which is awesome. It's not just dependent on you. The AI call transcripts and summaries give you follow-ups and ensures you never lose track of customer interaction. OpenPhone is offering listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. OpenPhone, OpenPhone, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you're switching from another service, OpenPhone will even port your existing numbers over at no extra charge. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers at Open Phone. All right, we're here, Locked On NBA Squad Show East, and the play-in games will happen. And, well, Wes Goldberg, you're here from Locked On Heat. We've got the Cavs and the Celtics waiting for you guys. Is there any interest? Does anyone have any interest in any of these play-in games, or are they all just 1 or 2 and done?
I have lots of interest in the games, yes.
This is what we've been waiting for all season, is the play-in tournament, right?
We?
All of us?
Play-in tournament is very
been waiting too, Nick.
Play-in tournament?
You've been, at least since early February, you've been waiting, Nick.
I will tell you, Mavs fans are not super stoked for these plays.
You would not believe how many people are texting me about Kings
we
Mavs,
just
man. They cannot wait. They cannot wait.
Fine. They want it to be done.
So the
This is
Heat
first
are
round
playing.
fodder.
The Heat play the Bulls Wednesday night in the 9-10 game. Loser eliminated for the season. The Heat are 0-3 against Chicago this season. This is a bad matchup for Miami, and I don't know what to expect because this is a team that all season long, every time they've been backed into a corner, are just like totally cool staying in that corner. And but at the same time, they are like the play-in tournament vets. So I don't know what to expect of this Heat team going into this game, but they have to keep up with Chicago's pace. Josh Giddey apparently is like Oscar Robertson now. I don't understand. And Nikola Vucevic puts up like Wilt Chamberlain numbers every time he plays Miami, even dating back to his days in Orlando. So we'll see what happens. But if the Heat season ended Wednesday night, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just glad we finally get to see the Heat and Bulls playing a play-in game.
Not finally.
They should just name it like the Bulls plus Southeast Division Memorial Tournament. It's the same 4 teams every year.
I'm intrigued by the whole thing, honestly. Not that these teams are going to be like super threatening to the teams that they would play in the first round, but it's all kind of, maybe not as much the Heat now, but kind of teams that I feel like are trending a good direction, especially the 7-8 game. Like the Hawks with 2 first-round picks and a returning Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu being really good, or like sneakily could be awesome next year. And like the Magic were awesome this year before their entire team turned into zombies. Like I get that they don't have any chance this year, but I'm very intrigued by those teams having at least a chance to perform in the postseason this year and like set a groundwork for their immediate next step coming next year. So I know that's not a good answer to the question of the play.
I always like the annual discussion of, hey, the Hawks could be really good next year.
I was going to say, Tony answered that question, is there any interest in the play-in? He answered that no by saying that he has interest in these teams next season.
No. I have interest in those 2 teams being the 2 that make it out because I'm interested in their season next year. With no offense to the Heat, although Pat Riley could just pull a rabbit out of his hat.
You don't have to do the no offense to the Heat. Danny and John, do any of these teams have any chance to win 1 game against your teams?
I mean, anything can happen in a game. Like the Bulls shoot a ton of 3-pointers. Maybe they hit 25 of them in a game against the Cavs or the Celtics. Or I guess, no, that would be the Cavs because they can't be the 7th seed. Maybe they hit 25 threes in a game that the Cavs don't shoot the ball well. Like they could win that game conceivably. Maybe there's a game where Boston doesn't shoot the ball well at all. We saw that happen to them both in the first round and the second round of the playoffs last year. Like that is possible. And those teams are capable of winning a single game. I would probably bet the under on that. Like I think both the Cavs and Boston will sweep whoever is the 7 and the 8 seed, but it's not like some far-fetched thing to think that these couldn't be a 5-game series. Now, none of these play-in teams are capable of winning the first round series against Cleveland or Boston, though.
So
it would be a very Boston thing to lose one of the games at home and win the series. It'd be a very Boston. Win it in 5 pretty easily, but that one game at home where people are going to go, oh, what? Huh? So,
and it's going to be game 2. It's going to be game 2. That would be the game that they lose.
I do have a question for you 2 top seeds in the East here. For Cleveland, the 3-point shooting has fallen a little bit for you guys. Like, as you are the top seed in the East this year, what is your confidence level of getting through this playoff bracket? Just being like, I feel Cleveland is head and shoulders above everybody else. Then the Boston side of that, with like Jaylen Brown having the knee injury, you've had like Drew Holiday, and now the lineup throughout this year, just a little bit more injuries and Knicks and Knacks going on for Boston. How confident are you about the Celtics getting through this playoff bracket as well? So pretty much to the top 2 seeds, what are your confidence levels heading into this playoff?
I think pretty confident. I mean, if you look at the lines on FanDuel for the Cavs to get to the conference finals, it's like minus 380. And I would be very surprised if that doesn't happen. You bring up the shooting, which has not been great since the game after they beat Boston in Boston. They hit like 16 threes on 40 attempts against the Blazers, and it really fell off since then. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cavs just kind of hit a March wall. They spent most of that month away from home. They didn't have back-to-back days off in Cleveland from the All-Star break until the month of April started. I just think they kind of ran out of gas, and I think that they're going to look like a much better team. They're going to look like the team that was on pace to win 70 games at a certain point this season after having a week off and having everybody back to being healthy. Like, I really don't think that there's a ton of concern around anything that didn't necessarily go perfect for them in the final 4 weeks of this season.
Oh, geez. As far as the Celtics go,
Nice entrance.
the Jaylen Brown thing is the wild card here, because not even just because of what his knee might be, it's because there's always the potential of a Kristaps Porzingis injury sitting there. So there's the fear of like, okay, is this the time where Porzingis steps the wrong way and suffers the most rare injury in NBA history? Because he doesn't just sprain an ankle. He suffers like the craziest ankle injury ever known to professional basketball. So the Jaylen knee, I don't know what kind of shots he got over the past few days. I'm assuming it's some sort of PRP shot. They're trying to, kind of boost the healing in the knee, and they're going to give him a little bit of time off. I don't even know when he'll be ready to play, if he'll play in this first round series or join it midstream. But if he's not 100% and Porzingis goes down, then we got problems. But if one of those two guys is there for the whole run and is 100%, then the Celtics will be okay. It'll be more difficult, but I still think they have. Porzingis is actually the more important guy because of what he can do to opposing defenses. If you switch, he can punish those guys and the smaller guys in the post, especially if the Celtics do get to the finals against OKC, but even against Cleveland in a conference finals, having a double big option where both bigs can stretch is going to be a big deal. So Porzingis is actually the more important guy to keep healthy. Having Jaylen healthy will make things much, much easier, but still doable for the Celtics. So I still have a ton of confidence in them, but obviously with anybody, injuries can be tough. But around the perimeter, the Celtics have more options. I'm not worried about Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday was more old man management than injury management, and Derek White has been awesome.
What is that like, John? What goes into that kind of
lots of rests? You got to take some fiber. Make sure you get some good sleep. Make sure you take your vitamins. Zinc, vitamin D is going to be very important.
Sunglasses indoors.
Yeah,
you take
sunglasses indoors. Protect the retinas. You don't want to get yourself any like wet AMD kind of risk. So, yeah.
Celtics minus 550 to make the conference finals. Cavs minus 380 to make the conference finals. Knicks, just for reference, plus 460 to make the conference finals. So just the head and shoulders favorites, these two teams. Go check out all these great shows, great stuff for all the playoffs, all throughout it, and the offseason. And then as soon as Wes Goldberg's team loses, they'll have offseason content for Locked On Heat. Great stuff throughout the offseason. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Squad Show East. We also have a newsletter for every single one of these teams, lockedondaily.com. Go check that out. Those will be going all through the offseason as well.